former President Bill Clinton criticizing Barack Obama, and Donald Trump with a pretty impressive foreign policy speech, and Ted Cruz is it the Hail Carly? I'm Randall Terry. This is Voice of Resistance.
Those who forsake the law praise the wicked. Those who uphold the law resist them. Welcome to the Voice of Resistance. Here's your host, Randall Terry.
My hat goes off to the Ted Cruz team. Donald Trump cleaned everyone's clock in 5 races on Tuesday night. And where was Ted Cruz? He was in Hickory, the basketball arena in Hickory, what's it called? Hickory Court or something in Indiana, made famous by the movie Hoosiers with Gene Hackman. That was just actually really good PR. You know, I have to tell you something. There's getting media attention is an art, okay? And you know, you're talking to someone, I've been on every major network multiple times in this country. I've been on Fox and CNN and MSNBC more times than I can even remember, not to mention front page stories on the New York Times, Washington Post, and on and on and on. So I get how hard it is to do something that is spicy and sassy or that gets people's attention. And I know what it's like to write the sound clip. Anyway, I'm impressed that they decided that they were going to do that. They doubled down. They did the Hoosier basketball arena, and they did the announcement of Carly Fiorina. So my hat's off to them. It has kept Ted Cruz in the news. And that's what this is all about. The problem is this. Ted Cruz screwed up the line. I'm going to play a CNN clip for you. He messed up the line. It was, and Americans, oh, my phone. I forgot to turn my phone off. Let me just ignore that for right now. Americans, they love their bread and circuses, and they will not forgive someone who messes up the circus. So what Ted Cruz did in many ways by messing up that line was worse than being beaten in the Northeast. Because what happens is that people around the water cooler throughout Indiana, right now, all day long today, all day long, they have been forwarding this clip I'm about to show you from CNN, but more importantly, they're talking about it with their friends. Go ahead, play the clip.
How far?
10 feet.
10 feet. I think you'll find it's exact same measurements as our gym back in Hickory.
The line, measure this from the rim. Here's Ted Cruz.
And the question is, can the state of Indiana stop the media's chosen Republican candidates? Well, as y'all know, we're here on the Hickory basketball court. And Bruce, who travels with me, Bruce, I want to ask you something. Do you have a tape measure with you? Tell me something. How tall is that basketball rim?
10 feet.
10 feet. You know, the amazing thing is that basketball ring here in Indiana, it's the same height as it is in New York City and every other place in this country. And there is nothing that Hoosiers cannot do.
All right, so there you have it. It would have been great. He should have stuck closer to Gene Hackman's lines, but the double insult, somebody pointed out in one of their stories online, the double insult is he said not just the basketball ring, but that he said the word basketball. In other words, if you're playing football, you don't say, he went into the football end zone. Well, we all know it's the football end zone. We're in a football stadium. We're playing the game of football. You just say the end zone. You don't have to say the basketball rim. You say the rim. So he tried to be cool. He tried to be hip. He tried to be cute. And it would have worked, but it didn't because he blew the line twice. He just called it a ring, and he put in the modifier basketball. All right, let's move on to Carly. His pick of Carly. Again, this keeps him in the news. And here's the question. Will him saying that if I win in a contested brokered convention, because that's the only way he can win now, then Carly Fiorina is my VP. Does that in and of itself cause the voting populace of Indiana to come on fire? Yes! We were really excited about Donald Trump before this. We were really enthused about Donald Trump, but Ted Cruz picking Carly Fiorina, woo! That's got my attention. Hold on, honey. I know that we were Trump supporters up until last night, but did you see what Ted Cruz has done? He's losing big in the primary. He can't win on the first ballot, but he could stop Trump and get a broker convention, and he would pick Carly Fiorina. That deserves a second look. I mean, that's what they're banking on. So I ask you, does him picking Carly as a VP candidate with him cause you to take a second look? If you own a business and would like to advertise on our program, please contact us. We are currently seen on over 130 television stations from coast to coast. We air at 8 p.m. Eastern, and then all times are local. We have a lot of reach, friend, and this is an opportunity at a great price for you to get your product or your service in front of hundreds of thousands, maybe even millions of people. Also, if there's something that's important to you and you'd like to have a month where you just say thank you to this ministry or promote a certain ministry or a certain cause, contact us. Our rates are incredibly affordable. You'd be surprised. And you, again, can reach into hundreds of thousands, perhaps millions of homes. We're currently seen possibly in over 30 million homes. So give us a call, give us an email, and we'll put a commercial up for you. So, Ted Cruz picked Carly Fiorina. And by the way, thank you for joining me. I appreciate you taking the time to watch this program. Does that make you, as a voter, want to take a second look? I just don't see it having the sizzle. There's no sizzle there. And frankly, it was a good political move, but it also feels like pandering. In other words, they're saying, okay, well, Carly is a woman, and therefore he can highlight Trump's anti-women statements. They're not playing. They're playing inside of the D.C. New York Beltway, and he's got high negatives with women, but the statements themselves, her highlighting them, it's old news. I don't think that it has any ongoing sizzle. I just don't. I think that she can go and get local media coverage. So every place she travels in Indiana, if she doesn't travel with the Cruz campaign, if they split up, then she will be able to get local news coverage. But that's about it. She's not going to get any national headlines, and she's really not going to get statewide headlines. So her, on that level, I don't think that it works. And on the level of, well, she's a woman and she can go after Hillary. Look, you can't have it both ways. You can't say that we're at the place where we could elect a woman and that you have to treat a woman candidate differently. You can't have it both ways. Either she's a candidate in her own right and all of the political rules of campaigning apply to this candidate, or here's a woman for political office, she's running a campaign, but we can't really throw punches at her the way we would with a man because she's a woman. You can't have it both ways. I'm sorry. So I think that Carly is on her public persona, the way she presents herself, in my opinion, She's too smart by a half. It doesn't ring with the average voter the way crooked Hillary does. So when Carly speaks about Hillary, she does a good job. She really does. On an intellectual level, if I'm reading a script, if I'm reading an article, Carly is great. But for sound bites, but for that sense of boom, and you want to replay it in slow motion, did you see that hit? She doesn't deliver. Not usually. Not usually. The other problem, if I could use a football analogy, we're going to go to the football end zone. The problem with picking Carly is that it's like a triple reverse. If you're a football fan, you know what a reverse is. You know what a double reverse is. As a kid, I remember I was playing triple reverses. Did you ever do a triple reverse when you were a kid? It's almost impossible to pull off. The double reverse is almost impossible to pull off sometimes because all you got to do is have a linebacker step in front. Somebody who reads the play and sees that it's coming back and ties up the person who's coming back around. In other words, there's too many things that can go wrong. There's just too much that can go wrong. So picking Carly Fiorina at one level is genius on PR, keeping him in the news for a day or two. But on another level, it really felt to me, as a media analyst, as somebody who has some role in journalism, it felt like an act of desperation. It felt just a little. Now, and it was a decision made in a hurry. So when you're in a campaign, things are happening so fast, you've got to get your team together. You've got to make a decision. What do we do? We just got our clock cleaned. What do we do? Yes, let's go ahead and do that move where we pick Carly Fiorina and see if that energizes people. They did the right thing. It's like throwing the so-called Hail Mary pass at the end of the game. You've got to do it. You don't have any other option. But they usually don't work. And everyone's watching to see if it works, and incomplete. And he dropped the ball. And no, that was interference. No, it wasn't. Game over. Everyone's running on the field. Every once in a while, somebody does catch a ball. Every once in a while, let's just see if this works. We'll know on Tuesday, but I don't think so. In fact, when we come back, I'll play you a clip of Donald Trump. You just got to watch this. Don't go away. Friend, this program is supported by friends like you who believe in what we are doing. We run a very tight ship. Thankfully, we are on over 130 stations across the country, having tremendous impact. We get emails every day. We get letters in the mail, not every day, but almost every day. We hear from people who love what we're doing. What people don't understand is that it's sort of expensive to produce a television show like this. It doesn't require earth-shattering funds, but it does require financial help. So I am asking you, if you enjoy this program, throw us a $10 or a $20 bill every once in a while, or even a $50 or a $100 check. You see the address there on the screen. Your gifts are not tax deductible, by the way, because we want to be able to say what we want to say regarding politics without the IRS telling us no. So if you like the program, I ask for your support. Donald Trump is campaigning in Indiana, and we want to play you a clip of him and former Indiana Hoosier basketball coach Bobby Knight in a meeting taking a question from a World War II vet. I'm going to let this whole thing play because it's good. I'm thrilled the way they honor this vet. But the end of this, just watch the end.
Thank you. Thank you for this.
As an Indiana University graduate and a World War II vet, I have a tremendous respect for the General, Bobby Knight. And Mr. Trump, how would you compare your successful career and philosophy with Coach Knight?
Well, it's actually a great question. I just love his philosophy. I mean, we're in a different world, and he was in the world of sports, and nobody did better. And you know, one of the great things about Bobby that a lot of people don't know is he really trained a lot of great coaches, some of the best. Like you look at Duke, and you look at so many of the different places where they have the great coaches. They were trained, and they worked with Bobby. But Bobby was, you know, his field, a tremendous leader, and what he's done is phenomenal. So I'd like to put myself in a category even close to Bobby as far as that. You talk about the word leadership, that's leadership. Thank you.
That was very nice of you to say that. I appreciate it. But let me say another thing about Mr. Trump. And I think we're a little bit alike in that regard. If we're involved in something where we want to win, and particularly something that's necessary, if there's something out there where we need to win, we're going to try and beat your ass every time we can.
Now, obviously that language is a little bit gruff, but you see the room? All right, this is where Hillary's fragile little world doesn't work. That room is filled with women. There's a lot of children. And Bobby Knight makes that line. We're going to, if we need to win, we're going to kick your blank, okay? That's how a lot of people in the world talk, including a lot of devout people. And there's a lot of women in that room. I guarantee you many of them are evangelicals, they're Roman Catholics. And what did they do? They stood to their feet, they cheered. Because we're in a different world than we were 15, 20, 30 years ago. President Reagan would not have said that, and he wouldn't have had anyone with him say it. He just wouldn't have. But that was then, and this is now. I'm not saying that that type of speech, that we should just be also callous to it, that it doesn't matter. That's not the point. The point is we've had 8 years of Obama where we're the world's weakling. We're like the world's dumb giant. They take advantage of us with the trade deals. They commit acts of terror against us. Our president goes and he bows down to the Saudi Arabian king. There was one press report I read, there was no one there to greet him no leader of state to greet him when he landed in Cuba. Nobody there in Saudi Arabia. This is insult. It's because in this horrible trade deal with Iran. So people are fed up with it. And one of the things that Donald Trump and Bobby Knight exude is confidence. I'm a man's man. If I need to beat you, I'm not just going to beat you. I'm going to beat your butt. I'm going to kick your butt. And, you know, Hillary's, well, we don't want to build a wall. We want to build bridges. You know what? That's going to work with a handful of people in a college setting or people who have been taught political correctness their whole life. But that's not going to work with people that are fed up with what's going on in the world, in our country, with our foreign relations. It's not going to, it's just not. And let me say one other thing about the Cruz Fiorina thing. Americans love a winner. Up until the Tuesday blowout in the Northeast, there was a lot of people rooting for Ted as the underdog. There really were. I admit, you know, I love an underdog. But after that, it was such a trouncing. People are like, enough, okay, enough. Now, the pact with him and Kasich, him picking Carly, it's clear that he's a spoiler. And the word spoil just doesn't sit right with most people after a while. I like sour cream, but I don't like spoiled sour cream. And that's the thing. I have a sneaking suspicion that this is going to actually have the exact opposite effect. People are going to start to say enough already. We'll see if I'm right. I've been right so far. want to invite you to go to our website. Almost every book that I have ever written is available as a PDF online for free. We have a ton of products, training materials, tools that are available for you for free. All we ask for is that you give us your email address. That's it. So that we can stay in touch with you. And yes, from time to time, ask you to support this work. So I'm inviting you, go to the website. Now, for those of you who say, well, I don't want a PDF, I want a real book. You can get one of my books. All you have to do is pay for shipping and handling and then give whatever gift you want. And if you can't afford anything, we'll send you the book for free. Just pay shipping and handling. Why are we doing all this? Because we want to change the direction of the country and we need to raise up a fresh generation of warriors to do that. That's why we have this tool. I invite you, go to the website, see for yourself. I am a pretty frequent listener to talk radio. Rush Limbaugh is the greatest broadcaster, certainly in my lifetime. Sean Hannity, I like Sean because he tries to keep his eye on the ball, and he's really good at a fixed ethic. There is no left-wing talk radio in the city where I reside. There is one show that's moderate and really hates Trump, but also hates Clinton. So I listen to that as much as I can stomach just to know what people are saying. So when Sean analyzes the world's economy or the American economy, talks about jobs, he points out how many people are out of the labor force, how stagnant wages are, or that wages have actually gone down when you factor in inflation, all of these different things. You expect that. Hillary is over there saying, we're going to continue with the policies of President Obama. But then they're doing the shuck and jive, they're doing the feint, and they're putting out former President Bill Clinton, who's saying something very different. Listen to this clip.
WTHITV.com.
Continuing Election Watch 10, former President Bill Clinton campaigned for his wife Hillary in Indianapolis today. Much of Clinton's speech focused on the state of the U.S. economy, how to bring more jobs, and how to help people who are struggling.
But the problem is, 80% of the American people are still living on what they were living on the day before the crash. And about half the American people, after you adjust for inflation, are living on what they were living on the last day I was president, 15 years ago. So that's what's the matter.
Well, Bill Clinton isn't the only family member.
That's a criticism of Obama. And guess what? It's true. It's true. President Clinton won the moniker of being an economic conservative and a social liberal. In some ways, that is true. So the last time that we've had a balanced budget was under Bill Clinton. I don't know if you know that. So, and he actually was the one who signed into law a lot of the reduction of welfare benefits. So for him to come out like this against President Obama, and he's doing it fairly regularly, shows that the Clintons recognize this is a point of severe vulnerability. So Hillary's trying to run as if she was attached at the hip to President Obama. But she is allowing her husband to go out as her surrogate and to criticize the economy and the economic decline under Obama. And there is a decline. It's bad, people. It's bad. The number one interest of most American voters, if I could make it as a tandem, the 1 and 2, is economic prosperity and security. That's it. The greatest crime that we have as a nation is the shedding of innocent blood, killing babies. And it occurred to me last night, so that is the number one issue in America, is the blood that is crying out from the ground to Almighty God for vengeance. I mean, how can we expect God to bless our economy and give us security when we're killing his babies? So what occurred to me is, babies aren't going to be number one on people's list until they recognize that the babies are directly connected to their prosperity and their security. Once people see, I have to defend these babies, because if I don't, God's hand of blessing will be lifted, his hand of protection will be lifted, and it'll impact my family. I'm going to protect these babies so that my family's okay.